Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews, and I also do trailer reactions and documentary analysis. But today I'm going to do something really different that I've never done before. Comment down below and tell me if you like this idea, because I think it's going to be kind of cool. So I'm calling this series of YouTube videos Film School. So in all of my reviews, I always talk about themes and cinematography and set design and color palettes and all of those kinds of things. And so if you haven't been to film school, you may not know exactly what all of those things are. And so I thought it would be really fun to do a different type of video where I teach you a little bit of those things that filmmakers are learning at film school. Now, do you have to go to film school to make a film? Well, technically, no, you don't. However, there are some important lessons to be learned there. And that's what I wanted to share with you. So today I wanted to talk about theme. I always point out all of the themes that I find in the movies that I review, because for me, theme is so important. So I actually was teaching a bunch of students about movie making and themes. And so I made these little slides. And now I've never shared a PowerPoint with you guys before, but I'm going to do it now. So here we go. All right. So what is theme? A theme is the film's central unifying concept. It evokes a universal human experience and can usually be stated in one word or a short phrase. So every filmmaker has a different approach to theme, from the traditional to the very non-traditional. Think of it as a spectrum. So for example, if you had to look at Spider-Man movies and pick out what is the big theme, you might say, with great power comes great responsibility. That's a phrase that should instantly come to mind in all of the Spider-Man movies, in fact. But there can be more than one theme. There could be multiple themes in a film. In other words, messages that the director wants to share. So it's a moral lesson that the characters learn, often through a character journey from beginning to end of the story. They learn these important life lessons. And it can also be a lesson that the director wants to share with the audience, or a lesson that the director himself or herself has learned and wants to share with the audience. So when it comes to theme, a filmmaker may believe that his or her role as a filmmaker is an educator, a teacher, a philosopher, even a theologian, to share these important life lessons. And they do this by developing a very clean, concise theme. Again, it could be one word or it could be a phrase. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, directors may not want to preach one theme. They may want to just experience life and let it unfold and have the audience sort of pick out the themes that they see in that exploration of the story. You'll see that often in coming of age movies. So some directors take a very active approach. For example, I think of the most recent, well, not the most recent, but the Disney's live action Cinderella. It is very clear that the theme is be kind and have courage, because it is stated over and over and over again. They almost pounded it over your head. And it's very, very obvious. And they want it to be obvious. They have lessons that they want to teach the children or their parents as they watch this movie. And by the way, I love that movie. I thought Lily James was the perfect Cinderella. But then there are other directors who don't want to be that obvious. They want you to see the message through the dialogue. Maybe a character says the theme in a line, or maybe it's a sign in a poster, in a scene. It can be very subtle as well. All right, so real quickly, I wanted to share with you some of the most popular themes, not only in filmmaking, but also literature. And sometimes the movies are based on literature. Sometimes they use the same theme, but not always. So one of the most popular themes is love, and it's a good one. It's like probably the most popular theme in songs as well, right? Across the decades and centuries even. However, love isn't always romantic love. Now, of course, in the case of Titanic, that really was a love story, wasn't it? But let's look at Toy Story. There is a little touch of romantic love, but really it's the love of friendship between the toys themselves, but and also the love of Andy and his very special toy Woody, and that unique bond that they share. And then in the movie Frozen, especially the first one, but also in the second one, and I don't know how many more iterations of Frozen we're going to have, but I still love those movies. That love is really the bond of sisterhood and the love and the sacrifice that they share for one another. Now, there is romantic love in that one as well, but the most powerful love is that a Disney princess doesn't need a man to be complete. That love of sisterhood is what's the most important type of love in that story. Another really popular theme is good versus evil. And we see that beautifully illustrated in every single one of the Star Wars movies in that entire franchise. Now, of course, they're not the only franchise that uses good and evil, but that is such a perfect example. Another common theme is death and grief. We see that in children's movies. Look at all of these. For example, in Charlotte's Web, the friendship and the love that developed between a pig and a spider, believe it or not. Of course, that movie is based on the book. But then we've got some recent Disney movies, Coco and Onward, and how they are about family members who have passed on and special things that happen. I don't want to have any spoilers. I know those movies have been out for a while, but I don't want to give it away. But you definitely should see both of those movies, all three of those movies. And sometimes the movies are just about the death, but most of the time it's about the grieving process and how it affects different people in different ways. Another franchise I adore is Lord of the Rings. Now, there are so many themes embedded in these films, good versus evil, definitely, but also sacrifice, heroism, friendship, teamwork, love, respect, honor, integrity, persistence, perseverance, tenacity, all of those things. It is probably my all-time favorite trilogy of a movie franchise. There's something for everyone. There is war and romance and comedy and suspense and thriller and horror and battle scenes and great cinematography and epicness galore. If you haven't seen these, you absolutely need to see Lord of the Rings. So my youngest son is dating a girl from Cuba, and she said that her favorite movie of all time is Twilight and how she loves that franchise. And I'm like, oh, honey, let me introduce you to Lord of the Rings. And so she and my son binge watched not only the movies, but the director's cut of these movies, which, as you know, is like 4 hours long each film. Anyway, they took them, of course, several days, I think about a week or so. But the biggest compliment was when the whole thing was over. I said, well, what did you think? And she said, oh, it's so much better than Twilight. So we have a new fan in the world. Another popular theme is humanity versus technology. Now, these again are kids/family movies. There have been some intriguing ones over the years that are more adult-like. But the students that I was teaching about film appreciation actually happened to me, middle school, high school students. And so I was focusing on kid movies. And so I pointed out Wreck-It Ralph, Wall-E, and The Mitchells versus the Machines, all three fantastic movies that also have multiple themes of friendship and trials and challenges and the value of humanity versus technology. Other themes that are super popular and very powerful are perseverance, just having grit. I mean, look at Rocky. He's such a great example of that. But also these children's movies, Finding Nemo makes me cry every time, and Brave, I love those movies, and they represent not giving up. And that is such a powerful, empowering theme, especially for children nowadays. Other themes are coming of age. And I love the Harry Potter franchise. I mean, who doesn't? They're just incredible movies, and it's so much fun to literally watch these child actors grow up right before our very eyes. But I also really love movies like Moana and The Lion King, where we start with a young character who is trying to find his or her place in the world or their kingdom, their place, wherever they are, that's growing up, and the royalty within them. But you don't have to be royalty to find the divinity within you. They just happen to be in these two movies. In their cases, they actually came from, royalty and rulers and that kind of thing. Love that theme. It's so powerful and helps children to see the greatness within them. Other themes are reason and faith. Sometimes it's reason versus faith. Sometimes it's just one or the other. In the case of the Prince of Egypt, it actually is the telling of a true religious story from the Bible in the Old Testament. Now, they don't always have to be religious per se. For example, Bruce Almighty, he actually gets to hang out with God, and it's a fun exploration of the power of God and the power of humanity too. And then Indiana Jones, you might be surprised that I put that on the list, but Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark actually does also go back to the Old Testament. And he really grapples with faith, religion as an institution, and these stories passed down from the Bible, and logic and reason. He's a university professor and an archaeologist, and he's gathering all these artifacts from a historical perspective, but he has to really consider, are they based on true events? Is this whole God thing real? Anyway, love all three of those as well. And there are many more, of course. These were just three that I was pointing out to these students that I was teaching the other day. Another popular theme is justice. Now, when we look at any of the Robin Hood iterations of the movies, his classic story is that of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, kind of that distribution of wealth philosophy that is very political. And I'm not going to get into all of that. But a sense of justice. It just doesn't seem fair that some people who are evil can have riches and those who are good are living in poverty, that kind of thing. We also look at all of the superhero movies, including The Incredibles, and how I love that movie points out all of the unique talents that each of the family members have. But their job is to help mankind and to fight a good versus evil, to fight those who are not good, I guess, simplistically saying. And then I wanted to end it with my last all-time favorite theme in movies, and that is hope. One of the best movies, way up there on my top 10 for sure, that illustrates hope is The Shawshank Redemption. Love, love, love that movie. There are so many golden nuggets in that. I should do a whole movie review on Shawshank, even though it's an older movie, but it is so powerful. If you haven't seen it, add that to your list. It's so great. And I don't want to give you any spoilers, but so good. And especially the last few sentences of the movie, they actually use the word hope in those sentences, but the whole movie is one gigantic illustration of hope. And then, of course, there's E.T. that, this little alien who ended up on planet Earth is hoping to return home and hoping he can find a friendly soul who can help guide him back and that kind of thing. And then even Home Alone, that movie is also about hope in the sense that he's separated from his family. And even though he has a great time without his family, he's hoping that he's going to be reunited once he learns to appreciate them. So a crossover theme would be family, really, in all three of these movies, and many, many more. All right, comment down below. Let me know what your favorite theme is in movies. If I know a movie is going to be about hope, I'm probably going to watch it just because I think that theme is so powerful. But I love all of those. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me here in film school. And if you want to share examples of how themes have been illustrated in movies, comment down below, share that too. I really read every single comment that's shared. And thank you so much for engaging with my channel. I'm trying to get it to grow. And by simply watching my videos, liking them, commenting down below, telling your friends to come join me, that spreads magical YouTube fairy dust all over my channel so that more people can find it. Thank you so much. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.